Hello, everybody. I can't believe this is the 7th one. We've been doing this for 7 whole weeks. I haven't fallen in a heap yet. I hope you haven't. I'm about to read you the 7th and final part of the story. So I hope my 4 fans have really enjoyed being in this story. I've really enjoyed writing it, and I've really enjoyed reading it to you, which I'm quite surprised about, actually. But it's been fun. So here we go for the last one. I will just recap for you. Freya and her friends, the wizards Tig, Drew, Pen, Faye and Shawnee, have been battling loggers deep in the forest, which involved fighting off dragon birds, fleeing from a megaton mole, desperately hacking out a hideous distraction spell, which was actually a piece of wood, and generally making hard work of their side of the fight, but they were still full of piss and vinegar. When we left them, however, they were getting the worst of a face-to-face confrontation with the wizard Utter Bastard. And then, just have a sip. I bought it from my beautiful narwhal cup that my beautiful sister and brother-in-law and kids gave me for Christmas. Okay. Oh, for Jad's sake, came a rasping voice out of the dark, and a sword went swishing after the voice to take out the old wizard's head. It bumped away into the dark, leaving the headless corpse to fall floppily to the ground like a sack of quiche. Do you know how long it took me to find a tame magic user? Ferss said mock grumpily as he stepped up to their circle, wiping and sheathing his sword as he came. Still, you can't let your employees get away with insubordination, he continued cheerfully as he kicked the corpse of Utter Bastard with one heavy boot. I told him to take the night off, but he let the bile in him decide him on a course of rebellion instead. Well, it will be his last decision. I do so hate initiative in a lackey. Apart from Faye, who still stood frozen beside her equally stiff horse, the others had all been freed from the beginnings of their own freezing. Freya shook off the last of the black smoke with a quick brrr and danced on the spot, arms flapping, to get herself moving properly again. Ferss, you ugly sod! I've never been so glad to see you in my life, she said. The others gathered in and made equal noises of gratitude, though they eyed off their erstwhile enemy with a certain amount of well-deserved distrust. Hamish came running by them with the toad thing still in his mouth, shaking the heavy lump of bespelled wood back and forth and saying, "Grrr!" Freya had yet to see him do anything magical as such, but he was amusing and he'd just been very useful. Drew's eyes were not on his dog, though. They'd become drawn to the frozen Faye. Guys, we better do something about Feyerica. Do you mind if I have a go? You're our best healer, Tig said. Who better? Everyone watched with interest, even Ferss, as the young wizard went to his friend and put his hands on her temples, closing his own bright eyes as his mind went inwards, or into her, or something. She's alive, he said, eyes still closed, but I can't see. Oh, hang on. Yes, this might work. He let go of the woman and began to leap around her and her horse in that springy way he had, seeming to be grabbing at something nobody else could see. There, and that bit. And oh, yes, nearly missed that one, he was saying to himself in his mellow voice as he went. His sleeves flapped and his light curly hair caught the moonlight as he went bouncing on. Ferss had sidled over to Freya and now he quietly rasped to her, "What is he? Tig's love child?" Freya had to laugh. He really did look like he could be. He had the same kind ways about him too. She was interested to see what he could do for Faye, who had been a friend to Freya in a testing moment and deserved to be freed from her magical bondage. The wizard Awesome Drew seemed to have collected quite a lot of invisible something under one arm now, and at last he stopped and stood back, reached forward to grab something Freya couldn't see off the forelock and ears of the beautiful grey horse, and stood back again, gesturing proudly with one free arm. "Done," he said. They all waited, but at first nothing was happening, and so they all glanced at Tig. But he looked supremely confident, and he was proved to be right, because suddenly the woman took a deep breath, and then the horse snorted and stamped one leg and swished his tail, and then they were moving normally. Wow, that was an experience I hope never to repeat, Faye said. Felt like I was all wrapped up in spider webs. I thought I'd never run free again. Thank you, young Drew, for my life. She called to her horse in a strange howl, and before Freya could even blink, had turned herself into a wolf. The horse had followed suit, and the 2 wolves were off, running across the blighted land and into the forest. Well, that was a bit weird, Wolf, Shawnee said cheerfully, looking at the others in a "did you see what I did there" kind of way. Typical Faye, never likes to be restrained. Gives her the jitters, Tig said fondly. They'll catch us up later, I'm sure. Well done, Drew. You'll be the best healer in all of Furkat one day, I'm sure. The young man nodded calmly and held out an invisible bundle to Tig. Thank you. What do I do with this? Tig took it, whatever it was, threw the invisible stuff up into the air and blasted it with one long pointed finger. Ashes rained down on them, invisible ones, of course. Can't leave it around to tangle up some poor, unsuspecting, recently rabbited logger, he said. First cleared his throat to get their attention. Not the prettiest sound coming from him, but effective. Aha, There remains a slight problem of my breaking my oath by helping you and therefore working against the best interests of my current employer, he said. What magic can you suggest to fix that little conundrum? Pen grinned and bounced on her toes. Ooh, I know, she said. If you've been turned into an animal, you couldn't have stopped us killing that utter bastard, could you? She said. Let me think on that one a minute, Ferss said. What reason would you have to ever return me to my own form? She could put a time limit on the transformation, Shawnee suggested. Just long enough to get you far away from here. You'd like that, Ferss rasped cynically. Sure, said Shawnee. Without a bastard gone, we only have you standing in our way. The rest are nothing but servants of you or the one who pays you. Yes, the one who pays me, Ferss said slowly, side-eyeing Freya. If you knew who it was, you could stop the logging at once. Not that I told you. No, you'd have to have got that old magic corpse over there, just after he turned me into a what? Fluffy bunny, Freya suggested, just to quiche him. Sharpie dog was Drew's idea, brought about by the latest pass-by of Hamish, still carrying and shaking a much-gnawed lump of wood. Horse, suggested Tid, looking pointedly at dinner. No, said Freya. How many cantankerous horses does one woman need? Make him smaller and more manageable. But still incredibly glamorous, Ferss rasped, amused at this discussion. Freya wasn't sure if he was even agreeing to the scheme or just playing them along for some reason of his own. Raven, Pen suggested. A big, glamorous, shiny black raven? Ah, yes, I think so, Ferss said thoughtfully. I've always wanted to fly. He grinned his half-handsome, half-hideous grin at Freya. Tell my men to get what they are owed from the employer, then meet me in Seatown. The secret code word you will need to use to have them obey is, well, it's Fjord Rider. Freya laughed long and loud. You old softy, she said, wiping her eyes when she finally managed to stop. Soft as basalt, the old reprobate growled. Read not too much into that, Freya Fierce Rider. I was never one to be trusted, and love will never rule me as well as gold. I was bored here in the backwoods, that's all. I want to move on, and you have given me the perfect way to do it. Turn me, wizard, he said, gesturing at Pen, who bounced up and down in excitement and began to sing. He took off his chainmail, belt, and black leathers and put his sword on top of them. Look after those, he said, standing proud and unashamed in all of his strong black-haired beauty, only that damaged half-face jarring the picture. Pen's singing curled out around him in her trademark colours of sunset and dawn, and then Ferss was shrinking, his bristled chin fading away into his neck, his fingers growing back into his arms to form wings. Freya, he croaked as his legs shrank and feathers began to sprout out of every part of him. The one who logged the forest. It is Pyros! And then he was a raven truly, and he spread his wings, flew a short circuit around them in the night, and came in for a creditable landing on Freya's shoulder. She turned to him, not afraid of that sharp beak so close to her face, not when it belonged to Ferss. She put up a hand to stroke his silky breast feathers and said, I thank you for that, old friend. And the raven cocked his head to look at her with one silver eye, and then the other, which was now whole as well. His empty socket was no more. Freya looked at Pen, who said, He did us a favour this night, and it is hard for birds to have only one eye, harder even than for men. When he returns to his form, he will keep the eye. The others nodded at her justice. It was right. Freya reached for Pen's forearm and took it in a clasp of true friendship. I will not forget this kindness, she said. The raven nibbled at her ear delicately and rasped a soft ark in her ear. You still have a quiche voice, she told him. Tig smiled at them. My friends, you all make me proud. He struck a pose of dramatic beauty, sleeves, danglements, and hair flying. It is time we left the battleground. We have a tavern keeper to visit, he said rousingly, and the others cheered. Freya sent Ferss the raven flying up into the night sky with a sharp shrug of her shoulder and leapt aboard Dinner, who she suspected was not going to enjoy having Ferss around, bird or not. He was cold and grumpy, and he put in a buck just to tell her that he was ready for his warm stable. Your bedroom might be a problem, she told him, not moving in the saddle despite his shenanigans. We may not be welcome there for very long. There are other taverns, Tig said placidly, and other towns. Ah, well, your logger problem will quickly be gone, just as soon as we confront Jatting Pyros the Stout and offer him inducements to stop, she said to Tig and the others as they too mounted, and the 5 of them began the journey back towards Fulcrum, with Hamish the dog trotting beside Drew, trophy still in his mouth. Ferss flew above, and the sound of Faye and her strange mount's howling echoed in the hills around them as they rode. Wonder what the owner of the wolf's den will think when a real wolf comes to visit, Shawnee said, and to his great satisfaction, they all laughed heartily at one of his jokes at last. So, the end. I hope you enjoyed it. I will put it all together onto a YouTube video, so you can watch it one after another if you missed one or something like that. And there is a cover that I did. Very sorry, Lady Butler, for doing this to your beautiful piece of art, Scotland Forever. There we go. Hang on, let that focus. So there's all the characters. That's obviously Hamish. It's very hard. This is all backwards. There's Awesome Drew. There's Freya. There's Pen. That is Tick. That is Faerika. And there's Shawnee over there on his horse. Bad joke. So I hope you enjoyed it. I may never do this again, but I may. Who knows? For now, bye. Bye.